Aristotle on virtue. How to become excellent. Welcome, friend, to a journey back to ancient Greece, where the great philosopher Aristotle laid down a blueprint for a life lived well, a life of excellence, or arete. Forget the often dry textbook definitions. Aristotle's ethics, primarily articulated in the Nicomachean Ethics, is less about following a rigid set of rules and more about a practical, lifelong process of shaping your very character. It's a strikingly modern personal development guide disguised as philosophy, focusing on becoming rather than simply doing. Star, the goal, eudaimonia, not just happiness. First, we need to understand the ultimate destination. Aristotle calls the highest human good eudaimonia, often translated as happiness or flourishing. But it's a much richer concept than our modern, fleeting sense of being happy. Think of it as living well and doing well, a state of robust, active human flourishing achieved over an entire lifetime. It's the deep satisfaction that comes from realizing your full potential. Imagine a master craftsman feeling the pride of a perfectly made piece, not just a momentary buzz, but the profound realization of his skill and purpose. That's eudaimonia, and virtue is the roadmap to get there. Compass, virtue as the golden mean, striking the balance. The core of Aristotle's practical teaching on moral virtue lies in the concept of the golden mean, or mesotis. This is perhaps his most accessible and actionable idea. He argues that every moral virtue is a sweet spot, a perfect median between two extremes or vices, an excess and a deficiency. It's crucial to understand that the mean isn't a mathematical average. It's relative to the individual and the specific situation. It takes serious thought, observation, and experience to find. Consider the virtue of courage. The deficiency, too little, is cowardice. The excess, too much, is rashness, recklessness. The virtue, the mean, is courage. A soldier charging a machine gun nest alone might be rash, while one who flees the moment he sees the enemy is a coward. The courageous soldier assesses the situation, feels fear, which Aristotle says is natural, and acts appropriately to the danger, standing firm when it is noble and necessary. The mean for a seasoned general will be different than the mean for a new recruit. Here are a few more examples of this practical balancing act. Vice deficiency, virtue the mean, vice excess. Stinginess, pettiness, generosity, extravaganza, wastefulness. Shamelessness, modesty, bashfulness, shyness. Boorishness, wittiness, amiability, buffoonery, jesting. Tic, the power of habit, becoming a moral athlete. Now, how do you move from knowing the mean to actually living it? This is where Aristotle's perspective truly shines. Virtue is a habit. You don't become virtuous by reading a book or attending one seminar. You become virtuous the same way an athlete becomes great, through consistent, deliberate practice. Aristotle famously says, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Imagine you want to be a generous person. You don't simply declare it. You have to repeatedly perform acts of generosity. At first, these acts might feel forced or require conscious effort. But as you continue to choose the generous action over the stingy or extravagant one, two things happen.
1. The action becomes easier and more enjoyable. You stop debating whether to help and just do it naturally. 2. You develop a virtuous disposition. Your inner state, your desires, emotions, and intentions align with the outward action. For Aristotle, a truly virtuous person enjoys acting virtuously. Someone who gives to charity but secretly resents the loss of money is performing a contingent act, not a fully virtuous one. The truly generous person gives freely and feels pleasure in doing so. This is the mark of a fully formed character. Press. Intellectual versus moral virtues. Two paths to excellence. Aristotle divides excellence into two major categories, which work in tandem. 1. Moral virtues, virtues of character. These are the habits we've discussed, like courage, temperance, and justice. They govern our emotions and appetites, helping us find the golden mean in our actions. They are developed through habit and practice. 2. Intellectual virtues, virtues of mind. These are virtues related to reason and understanding, and they are developed through teaching and experience. The most important for moral action are practical wisdom, phronesis. This is the ability to deliberate well about what is good and advantageous for oneself, not in a narrow sense, but for a good life overall. It is the intellectual virtue that allows us to correctly determine the golden mean in any given situation. Without phronesis, courage can easily slip into rashness. It's the moral compass that navigates the complexities of real life. Theoretical wisdom, sophia. This is the contemplation of eternal truths and principles, the highest activity of the human mind. For Aristotle, a life rich in contemplation is the highest form of eudaimonia. Poor, the role of the community and friendship. Excellence is not an isolated endeavor. Aristotle was clear that humans are social animals, politikon zoon, and virtue can only be fully practiced within a community, the polis or city-state. Justice is inherently a social virtue, governing our interactions with others. Friendship, philia, is paramount. Aristotle believed there are three kinds of friendship, but the highest is friendship of virtue, where two individuals love each other not for utility or pleasure, but for the inherent goodness in the other's character. These friends act as moral mirrors and motivators, helping each other strive for excellence. Living a virtuous life is essentially a collaborative process, requiring good laws, good role models, and good friends to guide our development, especially in our formative years. Conclusion: your invitation to flourish. Aristotle's message is an empowering one. Excellence is within your reach, but it demands effort. It requires the phronesis to identify the golden mean, and the repeated practice to make virtuous action automatic and enjoyable. It's about moving beyond simply doing the right thing to becoming the kind of person who naturally, habitually, and happily does the right thing. It's a journey of self-mastery, a commitment to perpetual improvement that leads to the ultimate reward, a truly flourishing, meaningful life. Eudaimonia. If this deep dive into character and excellence sparked a light in your mind, let us know. What Aristotelian virtue do you think is hardest to achieve in today's world? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. If you found this discussion truly valuable, please hit the like button to spread this wisdom. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another journey into the world's greatest ideas on how to live an excellent life.